sacrifice their bodies for sandwiches and shoes. Normalize violence that never makes the news. Animals consumerized for whatever you choose. You wear calfskins and eat strips of bacon, but nobody mourns the life that is taken. Animals tortured for burgers and snakeskin get no second thoughts or consideration. Killed out of convenience, yet you don't think twice about the animals that make the sacrifice for your luxury handbags expensive in price, all to advance your quality of life. Your wallet and belt once had a face, skin worn by humans in utter disgrace. Imagine being stuffed in hutches and crates and only admired for fashion and taste. Animals captive in circus and zoos, subjected to loneliness and often abused. Kittens on TikTok get millions of views, while cattle and hens become sandwiches and shoes. You say you love animals, but rob them of milk. You torture small insects and turn them to silk. You willingly pay to have young mammals killed with no remorse for the victims or feelings of guilt. You admire cute puppies and kittens that purr, but wear coats made from feathers and fur. Your fast food consists of fried portions of bird, and your silence ensures that this violence occurs. But if you really love animals, I've got some good news. There's plant-based alternatives to whatever you choose. Just make the connection, you have nothing to lose. There's much more to animals than sandwiches and shoes.
A eulogy for all the animals I killed before I went vegan. Denial is the first stage of grief. It locks your heart in a cage and keeps out the feelings that are tapping on your sternum. The sadness, the anger, the rage. A part of me died the first time I saw the videos of the cows being herded into the slaughterhouse. As I saw the fear in their eyes, the chains of death shackled around their hoofs, the rusty grates of denial that had been encasing my heart cracked open and inflowed the grief that I had resisted taking into my body. The part of me that died was the part of me that looked in the mirror and saw compassion while I let them suffer for me, while I let them die for me. There is not enough space inside of me, not enough muscle on my body to hold up the weight of the grief for every single one of them. Beaten, crushed, dragged, suffocated, bled dry and butchered, I threw their bones in the trash. How do you grieve 10,000 souls that had no names? How do they know you are speaking to them when you whisper at your altar, "You did not deserve to die"? I know it is too late for me to save you, but I hope it is not too late for me to pray for you. And I pray that in your next life they did not put you in a cage. They did not beat you and chain you and put a price tag on you and steal your children. I pray that in your next life you ran across Alaska with the caribou. You swam from Siberia to Hawaii with the humpback whales. You flew all the way across the world with the Arctic terns. I pray that in your next life you were finally free.
You watch me closely, curiously. You're drawn to me, and as you take one step and then two towards me, you feel no fear. And then the man with the apron comes and you tense up. Your eyes shift and you feel yourself backing up in the way into your friends who are also trying to flee. When there's nowhere to run, you turn back and our eyes meet again. You can discern between confusion lies in why you can't be with me. We keep a steady gaze, though my eyes are now filled with tears. You make a sound, soft and friendly, initiating a conversation I wish wasn't necessary. Hi there. I don't know you, but I do. I'm scared. I'm so scared and so lonely. I don't know why I'm here. My friends, they're sick and they're scared too. These men, they take my friends one by one and they never return. I hear them crying and I don't know whether to help them or to help myself. I don't know why they treat us this way, but I know that I want to go with you. Please, take me with you. Just as I swipe another tear from my cheek, they all rise up in a chorus of pleas. I look each of them in the eye, acknowledging the individual in each of them, the only act of love I can offer. I take a step forward, and so do they. A worker comes, and they retreat. We do this dance until finally the worker says to me, listen, I know why you're here. Pick one. I won't tell a soul. I thought this would be the easiest part, but it's the hardest. If I left them all behind, they'd all be together. But how do I choose which one lives? Is it based on their personality? Who's smarter or healthier? Or should I pick the smaller one or the weaker one? I came here powerless, and now your life rests in my hands. Which one will be free and which one awaits execution? My mind is racing, my heart beating out of my chest. Beads of sweat drip down my face, and then the worker says, hurry, my boss is coming. I don't realize that I'm still crying until I taste my tears. Mindlessly, my hand shoots up and I pick one at random. The worker walks to the one I chose, but this time is different. Instead of fleeing, the chosen one comes closer, easy to grab. In fact, they all come close thinking that they have been spared. As the worker hurries over to me with a child, he tells me to leave. Before I do, I look back at them, watching, waiting. Is this it? What about the rest of us? Please help, I'm so scared and I'm so lonely. But I'm almost at the door and I plead with them. I'm so sorry. As I look down at you in my arms, you're crying too. I don't know if it's relief or guilt, but the impossible has happened and you're alive to feel both. Seconds pass, then minutes, days, weeks, and months. You're settled in your new home, free to roam and have a life that belongs to you. And though the others were murdered before you fell asleep in my arms, they will always be alive to me. Their eyes, their pleas, their life, it haunts me. As I celebrate your life, which means the world to you, I lament the reality of what you narrowly escaped. I mourn for those I did not choose, who in my mind I sent to slaughter myself. I feel a deep, guttural, maniacal rage that I cannot cry, laugh, or scream out. I feel, and just like that, my privilege is clear. I am still here. I hurt, but I still exist. And as long as I do, then this story is about you in my arms who will live out a full life, and you, and you, and you who I could not choose that day. Well, that day is over. You are all long gone, but choices must still be made. So now I ask you, all who are listening, you who have the power to choose. I choose who lives and you choose who dies, but how did your personal choice become mine? Thank you.
I went vegan because I know right from wrong. The list of animal abuses was much too long. So to spread this message, I decided to get real strong. Now listen up, on my fitness journey you shall come along. I started with the push-up, but my nose crashed to the floor. In a moment, I realized becoming fit would be quite a chore. Maybe, since I'm vegan, I can't do push-ups anymore. My poor little plant-based muscles were feeling really sore. Next, I tied my sneakers and went for a nice long run, hoping to get some vitamin D as I trudged beneath the sun. Sadly, since I'm vegan, I lost my breath and was done. The walk back home sure was a long and lonely one. Later, I visited my local swimming pool, thinking that a few laps might be cool. Turns out, I was a complete and utter fool. I had to sneak out early to avoid the vegan ridicule. The next day, I hopped on my bike and went for a ride. I pedaled and I pedaled. I tried and I tried. I stopped for a snack, apricots that were dried. When a man told me without protein, I would have surely died. Maybe I would have more success in the weight room. I tried the bench press and almost met my doom. I thought about what it would say on my tomb. Another vegan who only ate legumes. As you can see, the journey to become a strong vegan is tough, especially when you load your plate with cookies and cream puffs. I thought just eating rice and beans would make me so buff. Looks like I have more work to do, sure enough. Living vegan has made me the strongest I can be. My greatest power is letting the animals be free. To look into their eyes and know they are just like me, to save, rescue, and liberate animals is my only guarantee.
If you were trapped in a zoo, you would hate it too, now wouldn't you? If you were scooped up by a fishing net, when you pose no threat, you'd be pissed, I bet. And if your head were hanging on a wall, I guess you'd have nothing to say. Hey, hey. And if you kill me slowly, then I'll know that you are holier than thou. Holy cow. If you were waiting in the killing line, in the piss and mud, you can smell the blood, oh no. Then your whole life led to this sacrifice, to be quite precise, it wouldn't feel so nice. One shot to the head, one bolt to the brain. If it happened to you, would it be humane? One shot to my heart, but you won't feel any pain. One slice to the throat, life pours from the vein. You cannot restrain, you cannot refrain. For the taste on your lips, taking pleasure from pain. One shot to my head, another bolt to my brain. If it happened to you, it would seem insane. One shot to my heart, but you won't feel any pain. 'Cause life is life is life is life is life.
Aisha was chained in pain to a carriage for 1 year. Through fear, forced to pull through New York City streets, her abuser on her back, whipping her with rhythmic slaps. With a flick of his wrist, he hits her mouth, caged by a metal bit, yanked and tormented with smooth cruelty to rule her every move. As Aisha weaves through traffic, cars inches from a strike, nose to tailpipe, her startled eyes plead to be freed. Blinders can't hide her soul's cry, cannot deny the premonitions they belie. At noon in Central Park, Aisha's world is about to go dark. She collapses. Over and over, her legs stumble and fail, the clatter of her hooves on pavement for the very last time. She drops, a heavy tumble as onlookers scream. A low rumble thrums through the crowd for 20 minutes as Aisha's agony crackles out loud. They won't ever forget that Aisha was worked to death, killed by the untreated disease of polysaccharide storage myopathy. Really, her death was caused by human cruelty and apathy. She's just one victim of many doing forced labor in Midtown. Over 10 hours a day, shackled to carriages, then shoved into cells, their spirits spent in solitary confinement, used, abused, then thrown away like trash when their bodies crashed like Aisha's did. Used up carriage horses are stuffed into trucks for the long death ride to the slaughterhouse. No retirement farm for these beasts of burden. Instead, they are hung upside down, their throats slit and bled out, their lifeblood pours out in a spout. This is how a carriage horse's life comes to an end. Is there anything else you can still defend?
It does a body good. Well, at least that's what they say. But whose body are we talking about? Because it seems we've been misled. You see, once a cow can no longer produce and serve no purpose, they don't cut her loose. They cut her throat and send her to slaughter. Her son becomes veal, and the tradition gets passed down to her daughter. It does a body good. Yeah, that's what they said. You were shown images of happy cows, but paid for their suffering instead. For her body, believe it is no joy to be robbed of milk for little girls and boys. For breakfast cereal, ice cream cake, or otherwise, do not ignore the suffering inside of her innocent eyes. It does a body good. But for whom, I must ask? Because a lifetime of being impregnated for milk sure seems like a daunting task. To watch as they take the children you bear without a show of compassion or a notion of care, being treated like a machine doesn't seem like any fun when you should be out grazing grass and basking in the sun. Yet you were sent to labor for man's selfish greed to produce a product that us humans don't need. It does a body good. But again, I ask for whom? Imagine if it was you who have been exploited since the womb. Imagine watching your family be torn. To watch in horror as they kill your kin and realize that your life is about to end. It does a body good. That's the lie that they told. Drink milk for big muscles and healthy, strong bones. Drink milk for calcium and vitamin D. That's what these commercials will have you believe. But milk for us does more damage than help, yet this is a product that they want to sell. Because it does a body good. Keep believing the lie. The more milk you buy, the more cows have to die. Milk does nobody good. Not her body, not your body, or mine.
West Virginia was wild and free, except for the animals that were kept in pens. My Airbnb was across the street from a cattle farm. On my second morning there, I stepped out the front door to the sound of one of the cows bellowing. So loud and desperate, I wondered if she might be giving birth. As I walked down the hill to investigate, her cries only grew louder. When I reached the fence, the whole herd flocked to me. First the mothers, then the calves at their heels. From behind the fence, they inspected me as if I was a thing that truly did not belong there. And I did not. I was a city girl, come to West Virginia looking for something wild and free, the mountains that have no master, the hawks that soar over the treetops, the butterflies and the bumblebees that draw infinity signs through the air. And I found all that. I even found the part of myself that had been in a cage without me realizing it. But I also found these mothers and their children with tags punched through their ears, never to be known as anything but numbers, expecting me from the other side of this fence. I spotted the cow who was doing the bellowing. She was not giving birth. She was not being collared or branded. She simply lingered at the back of the herd, declining to join her sisters who had approached me, and bellowed into the mountains. And I think of Maya Angelou. I know why the caged bird sings.
These hands of mine, what are they good for? Gentle enough to braid my child's hair, tender enough to caress my partner, strong enough to provide for my family, but these treacherous hands betray my soul. These hands are providers. My loved ones rely on them, not knowing what they have done, what they do every single day. They don't know how these mangled hands take lives to sustain ours. They don't know that these hands, though washed so many times, will never be clean. They will never be absolved, and not even addiction can make me forget. These broken hands of mine make for a broken home, an unforgiving system that hates who I am, but preys on the power of my hands. What else can I do? Given neither flowers nor skill, these guilty hands are paid to destroy, and I am a casualty. My family is a casualty. The ugliness to which my hands were complicit have cost me, us, peace. These hands pray for atonement for what they've done, but not even prayer can bring the dead back to life. These hands, assassins. These hands hold children, fragile and full of promise in one hand and darkness in the other. The only promise is hurt for all of us. Some fight until the end, determined, hopeful. Some are so terrified they don't move, they don't make a sound, they cower so low, trying to be invisible. Their only hope is that we don't find them, because they know that these hands made their friends disappear. And it is up to these hands of mine to bring them back to reality. And while they scream out in terror, resistance, everything I can't afford to express, these hands, they kill.